الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام الأتمان الأكملان على محمد رسول الله سيد الأولين والآخرين وإمام الأنبياء والمرسلين والشافع المشفع يوم الدين وعلى آله الطيبين وأزواجه الطاهرات أمهات المؤمنين وصحابته الغر الميامين ومن استنى بسنته واهتدى بهديه إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد، حياكم الله أيها الإخوة والأخوات بعد انقضاء هذا الموسم العظيم موسم الحج مع لقاء جديد يتناسب مع ما كنا فيه من عبادات عظيمة، ألا وهو أعني هذا الموضوع كيف تكون مسلما تقيا أو جيدا. نعم.
Indeed, all praise are due to Allah, and may the most complete, full salutations be showered upon the Prophet Muhammad. Peace and blessings be upon him, the leader of the first and the last, the Imam of the righteous. And may those peace and salutations be showered upon his great good companions and upon his pure wives and those who follow them until the day of resurrection. I welcome you, my brothers and sisters, to tonight's lecture, and this is after a break for the season of Hajj. And we welcome you back to this lecture, which is entitled How You Can Be a Righteous Muslim, or How You Can Be a Better Muslim.
حتى لا يطول المقام ويكثر الكلام، أقول إن الله عز وجل قد حصر لنا السبيل الموصل إلى تقوى الله عز وجل، وأن يكون المسلم مسلما جيدا تقيا في 4 أشياء.
And so that we don't extend the speech longer than it's needed, we can see and draw attention to the fact that Allah the Most High, He encompassed the avenues towards taqwa of Allah, the Most High, consciousness of Allah the Most High, in 4 things.
جمعها الله عز وجل في سورة العصر حيث قال سبحانه.
And these are 4 things that Allah the Most High, He brought together in the chapter of Al-Asr, the chapter of time, where He said, the Most High,
وَالْعَصْرِ إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَفِي خُسْرٍ إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ.
That which means by time. Indeed, mankind are at a loss, except for those who believe and do righteous deeds, and enjoin amongst one another the goodness, and enjoin upon one another having patience.
يقول ربنا عز وجل والعصر، أي أن الله عز وجل يقسم بالزمن، بالوقت الذي هو ظرف العمل. هذا الوقت هو الظرف الذي يعمل داخله الإنسان الأعمال.
So at the beginning of this chapter, Allah the Most High, He makes an oath and He swears by time. And that is because time is the vessel through which the individual, or within which the individual, performs actions.
ثم قال إن الإنسان لفي خسر، أي كل الناس إلى خسارة عظيمة.
And then He said, the Most High, indeed, people, mankind, humankind are in a state of loss. And this encompasses all of mankind, all of humankind.
ثم استثنى من ذلك من توفرت فيهم 4 صفات.
And then Allah the Most High, He made an exception, i.e. all of mankind are at a loss, except for those individuals who have these 4 characteristics that we will now highlight.
الأولى قال إلا الذين آمنوا. الذين آمنوا أي آمنوا الإيمان الحق، والإيمان الحق لا يمكن الوصول إليه إلا بتعلمه، إلا بالعلم.
Except for those who believe, and this is the true belief. And this true belief, one can only actualize it or gain it through learning.
قال جندب بن عبد الله البجلي رضي الله تعالى عنه قال إنا تعلمنا الإيمان قبل القرآن ولو تعلمتم القرآن قبل الإيمان ما عرفتم الإيمان.
Jundub ibn Abdullah al-Bajali, he said, indeed, we used to learn about having faith before we used to learn about the Quran. And had we learnt about the Quran before learning about faith, then indeed we would not know what faith was.
وهذا يعني أن الإنسان يجب أن يجلس في حلقات العلم التي تعنى بالعقيدة فيتعلم ما هو الإيمان، كيف يؤمن بالله ربا، كيف يؤمن بالله إلها معبودا، كيف يؤمن بأسماء الله وصفاته على النحو الذي أراد الله وعلمه للصحابة رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم، وهم أي الصحابة علموه رضي الله عنهم لمن بعدهم، وهكذا حتى وصل إلينا من طريق صحيحة. بدون الجلوس في حلق العلم لن يصحح العبد عقيدته، فلن يكون مسلما تقيا ولا مسلما حقيقيا.
And this is only achieved through sitting in the sittings and the gatherings of knowledge, where the people and the scholars teach the individuals the belief of the Muslim, how the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, believed in Allah, and the general aqidah, the general belief of the Muslims, what the belief of the Muslims are as relates to the beautiful names and the lofty attributes of Allah the Most High, and how the companions of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, understood these texts, and how they taught those who came after them, and so on and so forth, until it became a branch of knowledge, the branch of knowledge of aqidah, of belief. So we must sit within these sittings of knowledge so that we can learn what it is to be a true Muslim and to be a righteous Muslim.
وبعد أن نتعلم يجب أن نعمل كما قال وعملوا الصالحات، وهذه الصالحات هي الأعمال التي ثبتت عن رسولنا صلى الله عليه وسلم والتي نؤديها على أساس الإخلاص لله عز وجل، فلا نشرك في أعمالنا ولا نخالف هدي نبينا صلى الله عليه وسلم.
And then after this belief, the individual, the righteous Muslim, acts upon this, because this is the second characteristic, except for those who believe and perform righteous deeds. So these righteous deeds are those deeds that are carried out in conformity to the sunnah of the Prophet, the example of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him. So in this way, the individual carries out deeds in which they associate no partners to Allah the Most High, firstly, and secondly, they do not contradict or go against the guidance of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him.
وبعد أن نتعلم ونعمل لا يصح أن نبقى في داخل هذه الدائرة وحدنا، بل لا بد أن نوسع هذه الدائرة لتشمل غيرنا معنا في هذا الخير. ولهذا قال وتواصوا بالحق، أي أخذ بعضهم يوصي بعضا ويعلمه هذا الحق الذي تعلمه وعمل به، وإلا لما كان المسلم قائما بما أوجب الله تعالى عليه، حيث قال في سورة فصلت ومن أحسن قولا ممن دعا إلى الله وعمل صالحا وقال إنني من المسلمين.
And then after this, once the individual has believed in Allah the Most High correctly and in a sound manner, and then they perform the righteous deeds, it's not enough for them to remain within this by themselves, to remain within a tight circle. Rather, their job and their occupation, what busies them, is to extend this circle and to bring people in to this circle and propagate the religion of Allah the Most High such that others can benefit. And this is as referred to in the statement of Allah the Most High in the chapter Al-Fussilat, and who is better in their statement than those who call to Allah and they perform righteous deeds, i.e., and this question it's a question as though to say, i.e., there is none better than the individual who, in their speech, who calls to Allah and performs righteous deeds. So it highlights the importance of this propagation of this religion.
ثم بعد أن نتعلم هذا الإيمان ونعمل به وندعو الناس إليه، علينا أن نستحضر في أذهاننا أن هذا الأمر يغضب الشيطان ولا يرضيه، وبالتالي فإن الشيطان سيعمل جاهدا على إلحاق الأذى بنا، إما أذى يعني جسدي أو أذى نفسي، أو على الأقل أن يصدنا عن طلب العلم والعمل به ونشره بين الناس. ولهذا قال وتواصوا بالصبر، أي أخذ بعضهم يوصي بعضا أن يصبر على هذا الطريق الذي مؤكدا أن نهايته سعيدة.
And then after this, once the individual has learnt about their belief and then they perform righteous deeds and then they propagate the religion, they should always keep within their minds, they should always keep present within their minds the fact that these are three things that are detestful and hateful to Satan, to the shaitan. These are things that the shaitan, Satan, does not like and it isn't pleased with. So due to this, shaitan will throw at them whatever harm and whatever he can by way and by means of diverting them from this path. So to remedy this, the individual, once they do and fulfill these three things, they propagate and they enjoin having patience upon one another so that they can benefit each other and they can advise one another.
ثم بعد ذلك حتى يقوي المسلم إيمانه عليه أن يتمثل أخلاق النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم من جهة الصدق في الكلام والوفاء بالوعود والعهود والكرم مع الناس ولين الجانب والابتسامة، ويبدأ بأقرب الناس إليه الوالدين وذوي رحمه كأخواله وأعمامه وأبنائهم، ثم الزوجة والأبناء والجيران والأصدقاء ونحو ذلك، فيحسن المعاملة معهم على أساس الصدق والأمانة والوفاء بالعهود والكرم والابتسامة ونحو ذلك، فإن هذا مما يزيد الإيمان، لذلك قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم بعثت لأتمم في رواية مكارم الأخلاق وفي رواية صالح الأخلاق.
And then once the individual has done these things, the individual should then endeavor to act with the character of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, as relates to their conduct. And these are things that will strengthen their faith, will strengthen their iman. And this is to look at the character of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and try to conduct themselves with this character. So, for example, they will look to see the fact that he was truthful in his speech and the fact that he would fulfill his promises. And they would try to do this and endeavor to do this as much as possible. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, he would be generous to the people and he would expend efforts to be soft and support the people. And the people, this would include all of the people, but at the fore of them are the parents and then those people who have relations to them and are connected with them, like children, and then family outside that, and of course the wife and the husband, etc. The Muslims should expend efforts to behave towards them as the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, behaved towards his family, his friends, etc. And they should, in all of this, try to be generous, try to be an individual who is light and who smiles. And all of these things are things that increase the individual's faith. They increase their iman. And within this, there is a reference to the hadith of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, whereupon he said that which means, indeed, I was sent to complete high character, high standards of character. نعم شيخنا ثابكم الله.
ومن ما يدل على ذلك قول النبي، مما يدل على أن حسن الأخلاق عند المسلم تزيد من إيمانه، أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال: إن من أقربكم إلي مجلسا يوم القيامة أحاسنكم أخلاقا. فكلما حسن العبد خلقه مع الناس كان ذلك سببا في زيادة إيمانه.
And another indicator that this high standards of character reflects and shows that the individual has high standards and high levels of faith is the statement of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him. Indeed, the closest of you. شيخنا الحديث أقربكم عندي يوم القيامة.
إن من أقربكم مني مجلسا يوم القيامة أحاسنكم أخلاقا.
ثابكم الله. Indeed, those who will sit closest to me on the day of standing, on the day of resurrection, are those who have the best character.
ومن مقتضيات حسن الخلق أن يكون هينا لينا مع أهله، كما قال صلى الله عليه وسلم: خيركم خيركم لأهله وأنا خيركم لأهلي.
And from that which necessitates good character is that the individual behaves with their family with good character. As the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, the best of you, the best people amongst you are those who are best to their families. And indeed, I am best to my family.
وكذلك من حسن الخلق العفو عمن أخطأ عليك وظلمك، كما قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم: وما زاد الله عبدا بعفو إلا عزا.
And another one of those things that increases the individual in terms of their faith is to pardon those who err or pardon those who wrong you. And this is as the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, indeed, Allah the Most High never increased an individual who pardons except in their high standing, i.e. Allah the Most High, if an individual has pardon for others, Allah the Most High increases them in their high standing and in their honor.
وكذلك الإحسان إلى الجيران، فإن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم ذكر لنا أن جبريل أتاه فما زال قال ما زال يوصيني حتى بالجار حتى ظننت أنه سيورثه، أي أنه سيجعله من قرابات الذين يرثون، وهم إما إخوانك أو آباؤك أو نحو ذلك، فيجعلهم من أقرب القرابات إليك، لما للجار من حق عظيم. فمن حسن الخلق أن يكون الجار لطيفا مع جاره ويعينه ويكرمه.
Another factor that increases the individual in their iman, in their faith, is for them to be good and dutiful to their neighbors. And this is, this is reported in the hadith where Jibreel alayhi salam, the angel Gabriel, he came to the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and he continued to advise him as relates to the rights of the neighbor. And the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said that he continued to do this to the extent where I thought he would say that indeed the neighbor would inherit from me, or would inherit from the people, i.e., their right was emphasized so much to the extent that it almost reached the right of the inheritors. And the inheritors are, for example, your parents, your brothers, sisters, etc., your close relatives. So this was emphasized due to the great rights that they have.
ومما يدل على أن حسن التعامل مع الجار يزيد الإيمان قوله صلى الله عليه وسلم: من كان يؤمن بالله واليوم الآخر فليكرم جاره.
And also that which indicates and shows the importance of interacting well with the neighbor is the statement of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him: whosoever believes in Allah on the last day, then let them be generous to their neighbor.
وأيضا مما يزيد في الإيمان ترك ما تشتهيه النفس مما هو محرم أو فيه شبهة تحريم، فإن هذا يدل على أن هذا الإنسان يراقب الله وأن إيمانه يزداد فيمنعه من الحرام. لذا قال الله عز وجل: وأما من خاف مقام ربه ونهى النفس عن الهوى فإن الجنة هي المأوى.
And another thing that increases an individual in their iman is for them to leave off that which their soul desires from the things that have been prohibited and the impermissible things. And they do this because they are conscious of Allah the Most High, and they are aware that it's something that displeases Him. And this is as Allah the Most High says in the Quran, and as for the one who fears standing in front of their Lord, and they prohibit or they stop their soul from following its desires, then indeed for them, Jannah is their abode, the paradise is their abode.
ومعلوم أن الجنة إنما هي دار المتقين الذين حسن إسلامهم وإيمانهم في الدنيا، ولهذا قال: جنة عرضها السماوات والأرض أعدت للمتقين.
And the Jannah, the paradise, as we know, this is the place of residence, of permanent residence, for the people who are muttaqeen, those who have fear of Allah the Most High. And this is as Allah the Most High says, paradise, its size is like the heavens and the its size is like the heavens and the earth, and it has been prepared for those who have consciousness and those who have fear of Allah the Most High.
ومما يقوي التقوى عند الإنسان وهي ما يزيد الإيمان حفظه لسانه، فإن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال: من كان يؤمن بالله واليوم الآخر فليقل خيرا أو ليصمت. ولذلك قال لمعاذ لما قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم: من يضمن لي ما بين فكيه أي اللسان وما بين فخذيه أي الفرج أضمن له الجنة. قال معاذ: أو إنا لمؤاخذون بما نتكلم به يا رسول الله؟ قال: ثكلتك أمك يا معاذ، وهل يكب الناس في النار إلا حصائد على مناخرهم إلا حصائد ألسنتهم؟ فلذلك من أراد أن يزيد إيمانه فليحفظ لسانه، لا يتكلم فيما لا يعنيه ولا يتناول أعراض الناس بالسوء، وخصوصا المؤثرون كالعلماء والحكام المسلمون لا يجوز أبدا أن يتكلم فيهم بالسوء، فإن هذا إثم وينقص الإيمان في القلب.
Another thing that increases the individual in their iman, in their faith, is that the individual, they preserve and they are careful about what they say. They preserve their tongue. And this is as the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, whosoever believes in Allah on the last day, then let them say good or remain silent. And in another hadith, where the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said to Mu'adh, whosoever protects their tongue and that which is between their legs, i.e. their private parts, then indeed I can guarantee and assure for them the paradise. And then Mu'adh asked, and indeed are the people taken to account due to that which they speak, that due to that which they say with their tongues? The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, may your mother be bereft of you. And this wasn't a literal meaning that he meant, peace and blessings be upon him, but rather it was to emphasize what he was about to say. So he said, may your mother be bereft of you, O Mu'adh, and are the people thrown or cast into the fire except due to that which their tongues have harvested. So this is the status of being sure and safeguarding one's tongue. And we say this, that the individual, they shouldn't be easy about that which they speak, especially when we look to those who have rights upon us, like the scholars, like the Islamic rulers. The people who speak ill of them, then they reap sin. And this sin, it affects their iman by decreasing it.
ولعلنا في ختام هذا المجلس والحديث عن تصحيح الإسلام والإيمان وزيادته والتقوى حديث يطول، لكن أختم بأهم ما يمكن أن يزيد الإيمان في قلب الإنسان، وذلك من حديث أبي هريرة المخرج عند البخاري في صحيحه، حيث قال أبو هريرة قال الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم قال الله تعالى، وهو حديث قدسي، قال من عاد لي وليا فقد آذنته بالحرب، ثم بين الولي من هو، قال وما تقرب إلي عبدي بأحب مما افترضته عليه. إذن إذا أردت زيادة الإيمان حافظ على الفرائض في أوقاتها وأماكنها وطريقتها التي شرعها النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. وثم قال وما يزال عبدي يتقرب إلي بالنوافل. إذن بعد أن تستكمل الواجبات كالصلوات الخمس وصيام رمضان وإخراج الزكاة الواجبة وأداء الحج مرة في العمر، بعد ذلك تأتي بمثلها نوافل كنوافل الصلاة، مثل صلاة الضحى وصلاة الليل وصلاة الرواتب، وكذلك تأتي بنوافل الصيام كصيام 6 من شوال وصيام الاثنين والخميس وأيام البيض وصيام يوم عرفة وصيام يوم عاشوراء ونحو ذلك. ثم كذلك في الزكاة، بعد أن تدفع الزكاة الواجبة تحرص أن تتصدق صدقة نافلة، لأن الصدقة تطفئ الخطيئة كما يطفئ الماء النار، وكذلك الصدقة جالبة للخير في الدنيا والآخرة. ثم أيضا الحج، بعد أن تؤدي حج الفريضة تحرص أن تأتي بحج نافلة وعمرة، وتكرر ذلك لقوله صلى الله عليه وسلم تابعوا بين الحج والعمرة فإنهما ينفيان الفقر والذنوب كما تنفي النار خبث الحديد. فأسأل الله بمنه وكرمه أن يجعلني وإياكم ممن زاد إيمانهم وزادت تقواهم وهداهم الله عز وجل إلى السبيل الموصلة إليه، وتولاهم ورعاهم وكفاهم وآواهم، والله تعالى أعلم، وصلى الله على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه.
حفظكم الله وبارك فيكم شيخنا, حفظكم الله وبارك فيكم. So there are many things that we could explore when we explore the topic of how to be better Muslims and how to increase our iman and our faith. But I will finish and conclude with one of the most important things that enable a Muslim to be better and to increase that iman. And this has been captured in the hadith of Abu Hurairah, reported by Al-Bukhari rahimahullah, where the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said that indeed Allah the Most High said. So it is a hadith that is connected to Allah, hadith al-Qudsi, a holy hadith. where Allah the Most High said, "Whosoever calls one of my close friends to war, then I have declared war upon them." And then the hadith goes on, and then Allah the Most High says, "And indeed, my servant doesn't draw close to me with anything more beloved to me than the things that I have made obligatory upon them." So, in order to draw near to Allah the Most High, we must pay particular attention to the obligatory acts, performing them in their correct times, in their correct places, as they have been legislated to be performed. And then the hadith goes on, "And indeed, my servant doesn't cease to continue to draw close to me with the optional acts of worship until I love them," i.e., until Allah loves the servant. And this is, for example, where the servant, they pray their 5 obligatory salawat, and then once they're established upon this, they extend it to the optional acts of worship, and here specifically the salah. So they perform the salat al-duha, the forenoon prayer, and also the night prayer. And then when the individual, they complete the fasting of Ramadan, they supplement it with the fasting of Mondays and Thursdays, the fasting of the so-called white days, the middle days of the month where the moon is fat, the day of Arafah, and the other days of optional fasting that occur during the year. Again, the zakah, the individual, they pay the obligatory charity, and they follow this up with the optional charity, the giving of alms. And indeed, this giving of alms, this giving of charity, it extinguishes sins just as water extinguishes fire. And then similarly, when the individual, they have performed the Hajj and the Umrah that are obligatory, then they follow it up with voluntary acts of the Hajj and the Umrah. And the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said that indeed these are things that will prevent destitution, and they will prevent sinning. So I ask Allah the Most High to guide us and make us from those who are guided and who have followed this path. And the Sheikh, he made a number of du'as that were really beautiful. May Allah Azza wa Jal accept from us and from him. And we're really happy to see our Sheikh and have our Sheikh back with us. Hafidhahullah, may Allah Azza wa Jal preserve him. And may peace, salutations and blessings be showered upon the Prophet Muhammad and upon his family and companions.
آمين. جزاكم الله خير. والمعذرة المحاضرة غير محضرة، وأنا في السيارة وتعرف الأمر الذي حصل، لكن أسأل الله عز وجل أن يجعل فيما قلنا خيرا وبركة لنا وللسامعين.
آمين. لكن ليس هناك أي اعتذار شيخنا، المحاضرة كانت قيمة ومفيدة، وأسأل الله عز وجل أن يبارك فيكم.
آمين. إذا نستودعكم الله. قد تأخرت وخلت المواقف من السيارات، ما بقي إلا قليل.
سبحان الله. طيب. So our Sheikh is taking his leave. It's late where he is in Saudi Arabia, and he's the only car that's left in the car park. So we thank you for listening, your listening and your attentiveness. As always, we thank our Sheikh Muhammad Al-Maliki and our translator Tom, and we ask Allah the Most High to open up for Tom and to grant him the best of the dunya before the akhirah.
Ameen, ameen. Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. Jazakallah khair, Nakil. Jazakallah khair, Tom.
Oh, Abdul Hakim, I can't hear you. I don't know if anyone else can.
Can you hear me, Sheikh?
Yeah, I can, yeah. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. Hafizakum Allah, Sheikh.
Continue next week, inshallah, at the same time. Assalamu alaikum.
Inshallah. Salam.